So I have been pretty vocal about my experience with the Omnipod 5 and getting to grips with the whole system, how it's so different from the TSlim, and some tips and tricks. I'll link all these videos down below. I've kind of documented it pretty wholeheartedly and honestly, the good, the bad. And there's a ton of content about the Omnipod 5 that is brilliant. One of which being the Juicebox podcast did a whole expert series, I think that's what they call it, on the Omnipod 5 where they actually interview a nurse practitioner, I believe, about the Omnipod 5. Like, it's really in-depth and really legit. So there are a lot of resources out there if you need them, and I'll link those down below as well. However, within all those resources and within every podcast and Reddit post and YouTube video that I watched, I never heard the following advice. There's been a lot of tussling that I've done with the Omnipod 5 in terms of corrections. That's the thing I kept hearing over and over and over and over and over again. Correct often, correct aggressively. That is what I heard over and over and over again, and I think there is validity to that advice. However, what actually came to pass for me was that I was correcting so often and so aggressively that I actually wasn't letting the system work. And I learned this because I kind of got to a point of real frustration with the system where I called up my endocrinologist and was like, help, what do I do? And she said, looking at my data, she could see that I was correcting and that correction was ending up sending me low and then sending me on a spike high and rinse and repeat. And her advice was, let the system work. When you see you're running high, just be hands off. She said, just try it for a pod or two. Just be hands off, let the system do its thing, and then see how you like it. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I am interfering actually a little too much, which was a bit of a bitter pill for my ego to swallow. But I was like, okay, let's give it a go. I could see the validity to what she was saying. So I tried that, and honestly, my stepping back and not interfering as much has really helped my numbers, my time in range, just the way the system works for me. I think I got to the point where I was hearing so much advice over and over and over again, correct often, correct aggressively. Again, there's validity to that statement and that advice. However, I wasn't trusting that the system's algorithm would work. And I was sort of hearing that advice, and it was driving the point home that I needed to constantly be interfering with the system, and I needed to be constantly an active participant in the system. And while I think that's true sometimes, and absolutely there are times where I need to correct, but I wasn't giving the system a fair shake to work itself. So for what it's worth, and for a lot of you guys which have asked me a lot of questions, and I've made quite a bit of content about the Omnipod 5, I wanted to throw this tidbit into the mix because it's not something I ever heard. And I could have used that advice clearly because it's what's ultimately helped me become much more friends with the Omnipod 5 rather than constantly fighting it. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys. For anybody that this helps or anybody that this rings true with, that's amazing. I want to help in whatever way that I can, learning through my error and stubbornness and ego. I think in some ways it's not people's responsibility to talk about letting the system work, because there's an overall umbrella implication that if you are using the Omnipod 5 with the Dexcom G6 and all that, you're using it because you want the algorithm to work for you. And that's sort of a foregone conclusion. But for whoever needs to hear it, that really helped me. It changed the game like really changed the game for me. So I wanted to share it. And with that being said, I wish you guys a wonderful day wherever you are in this world. I wish you great blood sugars and really, really, really happy and positive interactions with these insulin pumps, and especially with these automated systems that we're all kind of getting to grips with. But most of all, I wish you a happy, healthy mind with it all. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.